humans, Lena here again. So, what in the ever blazing hell is going on with you people down in the USA? My gosh. You got a guy who's running a company that's going to lead this investigation into the election to try and prove that it was stolen, and this guy claims he figured it all out. The answer is there in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Yeah. Okay, so this morning I was watching Rachel Maddow with my mother and sister, and, well, this story popped up. You got this nut job, and I'm going to call him a nut job because that's what it absolutely is. There was, if you want to believe that the election was stolen, go for it. But you're not going to find the freaking proof to that in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The number 42 has nothing to do with the election. Just because the great big computer answered the question, what is the meaning of life? 42 doesn't mean the number is the answer if you know anything about the book. About the people who wrote it. I have something in my eye. Okay, whatever. Yeah, okay. If you have read the book or know anything about about the person who wrote the book or anything about it, 42 is a reference. The number 42 is a reference to binary code, where it equals out to be an asterisk, which represents basically whatever you want. Whatever you want it to be. That is the answer the computer gave us to the meaning of life. If this guy wants to think that the number 42 can be taken from that book that was written, I think in like the 80s? Written a long time ago, and make it relevant today? Like, what? What? Yeah. Sure, buddy. Sure. Sure. On another note, let's talk about a pandemic that's still ongoing. 'Cause it is. Get a vaccine. They work. Do you know what they work for? They stop you from dying. Plain and simple. Do you want to die? Do you? I don't. Do you want to die? If you do want to die, then don't get your shot. Because then you'll catch COVID. And you're going to get really, really, really sick. And you'll have a lot higher chance of dying. But if you get vaccinated, sure, you may still catch COVID. But if you catch COVID, it's going to be at least a lot milder. And you're probably not going to have to go to the hospital, and you're more than likely not going to die unless you have some sort of immunity compromisation or cancer or something like that. But by and by, a vaccine's going to stop you from dying, so pretty easy choice to make, right? Die or get a shot. There's no chip in the vaccine. It is safe. And I'm speaking of someone who has had reactions to the shot every time I've had my 2 shots so far. I'm currently waiting to hear from public nursing about my 3rd shot, which I already know is going to be done in hospital, again under surveillance. Taking a course of antihistamines before I do for like a week. Yeah, it's sucky. It makes me feel really out of it. But instead of feeling like my throat was tight, my lips were tingly, my tongue was tingly, and I felt my chest was a little tight, but I was in the hospital taken care of. Didn't have anything really happen. Mostly it was anxiety, they think, probably. But yeah, the chance that you'll actually have a bad reaction is low. Most people, you'll go and you'll get your shot. You'll have a bit of a sore arm. Maybe you might have a headache. Maybe that'll last a day or two, but you'll be fine. It's not that big of a deal. And if you're worried about it, take a look into how long SARS, back in I think it was 2005 or early 2000s, that is a coronavirus. Was a coronavirus, and it was nasty. And ever since then, scientists have been studying coronaviruses to try and figure out how to create a vaccine. And then we got this pandemic. And you know what? All the scientists in the world came together and decided to share their information. Share the work that they've all been doing secretly behind closed doors. And then the vaccine was created. Tested, approved. Sure. Do we know everything? No. Do we know everything about COVID? No. Do we know what the long-term effects of people who have COVID are going to be? No. Do we know why there's some people who are these COVID long haulers who have it for a long, long time? No. At least not that I could find in research, and I like to read medical journals. So yeah, just moment of truth. Society's gonna go down the toilet if we continue to treat this like a flu or a cold. Because what'll happen is everybody's gonna get sick with it. Nobody's gonna be able to operate any of the necessary services. We won't have anybody in the hospitals. We won't have anybody who's able to farm the food, tend to the animals and livestock. Won't even have anybody who's able to do the grocery stores, to mine the oil, to transport food from place to place for the post office. If everybody is sick, nobody's going to do anything. The economy is just going to go poof. So we got to put the economy on a back burner and bring the rest of it forward, being people. Right? People. Economy doesn't work if there's no people. If people are sick and dead, who's going to run the economy?